Hello, everyone. This is El Bucho for MMA Pro Speak, and I'm joined here today by the legend, the man himself, former king of the bantamweights in the UFC, Aljamain Sterling. How are you, Aljo? Thank you for joining
Very
us.
good. Thanks for having me. Feeling very good. Getting excited for this fight coming around the corner, 2 weeks away. Just finished my run, and can't wait to be back in there.
Yeah, man, let's just get right into it. You have a huge fight coming up against Movsar Evloev, your second attempt at the featherweight division. How are you feeling fighting an undefeated fighter? Have you done something differently in this camp, especially for this opponent?
Mean more so, more of the same. Nothing really different. Just focusing on what I can do and things that I can bring to the game to kind of change things up. If you can evolve between fight camps, I think that's where you're the most dangerous. Where the person watching the tape is going to get a completely different version of yourself. I've faced undefeated fighters before. I've beaten them. I've given them their first loss. I look forward to doing the same thing against Movsar Evloev.
Does that bring you like extra satisfaction to say, take somebody's zero to do something that nobody else has been able to do before you?
Oh, 100%. Because a lot of people around the world rate him really high from his part of the country and the world. Um, he's not really known here in the States. So this is a big opportunity for himself as well to kind of gain some attraction here in the States, taking on someone who is known here in the States. So with that being said, this is a great opportunity for me to go out there, shut him out, silence his supporters who talk a lot of shit on the internet, and continue my quest to fight for another world title.
Does that bother you? Because throughout your career, like we've experienced different points in Aljo's evolution, right? In 2019, I saw your interview with Rogan, where you were talking about your hardships that you went through throughout all your career. This was even before Corey Sandhagen's fight, and now you have
Yeah.
come all this way. You have become a champion. You have different businesses, around business, real estate, podcasts, all this stuff. Has that changed your mindset about preparation? Has that changed anything like your feelings towards fighting, your feelings towards performing on the highest level?
No, for me, it's more about the excitement of the fight. I wasn't really excited about the fight in the very, very beginning because no one knows who the guy is. I know who he is. I know he's very good, but it's hard to get excited about something when you go from fighting well-known guys like Piotr Jan, Corey Sandhagen, T.J. Dillashaw, Henry Cejudo. Like those are big names. Even O'Malley has a much bigger name here in the States. Even before he even fought for a belt, he's one of the more popular guys in the division back then. So with that said, it was a little bit harder for me to get excited about the matchup, which is why I called for Brian Ortega, even Diego Lopez, people that the world, not just that one side of the world, everybody knows who these guys are. That's what gets you out of bed, gets you motivated to want to train, and um, really put a stamp on the performance. So I think some people started to come around after there was some trash talk back and forth, and I think that's given me a little bit more motivation to want to take the fight. And I was the only one who called them out. A lot of these guys, they don't want to fight Mozart, and I was like, all right, if no one else wants to fight him, I'll go out there and I'll be the hitman, and I'll take care of this mission and go out there, take him out, and I'll fight for the belt next.
That's actually one of the reasons why we, the fans, love you as a fighter, because you've never shied away from any opponent, any fight, or any obstacles anybody was willing to put in front of you. You even turned around and defended your belt in like 3 months, which is crazy when you faced O'Malley. You spoke at Halwani's show that Kelvin Cater's fight was really important for you in terms of your career. You didn't even drink your rum during the fight week. You just prepared and concentrated on Cater because you wanted to prove to yourself that you were just as good as at featherweight and you could reach those heights in featherweight as well. Is the stress the same for this fight, or is it just less because you kind of made your first steps, did the thing in featherweight already?
I think it's more so the same. Kind of went back to how it was before. I'm just enjoying myself, man. I don't know how many fights I have left at this point in my career. I'm just taking it fight by fight, step by step, and see what each opponent brings to the table, and kind of go from there. Everything is about the excitement to want to compete. that quick turnaround to fight O'Malley. There was very little excitement. Going from trying to put on a show and change your face, so to speak, to make the fans buy into the fight. Um, I don't know. I've done that before, and I don't plan on doing that again. So the next time I take a fight like this one, I have to make sure my heart's in it, and my heart's in this one. And I really want to shut this guy up because he really thinks he's the next coming of Christ or something. I don't know what it is, but I think I think he rates himself much better, much higher than what he actually shows in his performances. And maybe he's doing stuff in the room that gives him that confidence, but when he's out there performing, it ain't that. So um, it'd be interesting to see whose grappling is better, and then to see who's got the better stand up, and then see who's good enough to move past this test and be the next guy in line for a title shot.
So that's what your site is at, right? Being the next for the title shot with Ilya or Ilya, of course.
Whoever holds the belt at the time. As of right now, um, my main focus is just shutting Movsar out, shutting him down, and hopefully getting the finish. I really do think I have the skills to finish him.
Great. Um, your old foe Piotr Jan had a fight like a couple hours ago, 3, 4, 5 hours ago. He had a very dominant performance against a very tough opponent in Figueiredo. Who do you think is next for Merab? One of your good friends. Who do you think is next in line for him? Also taking into account the results from this past fight from 5 hours ago.
I mean, there's two rematches on the table, I would imagine, especially if the fight's going to be in March. I think if it's going to be in March, we already know Umar has turned down, or should I say, refused to fight in March because of Ramadan. That has nothing to do with Merab or anybody else. Your religion is your religion. So if you decide not to fight, that's completely on that person. So with that said, if he's going to remove himself from an opportunity to fight for the belt, then I think there's two rematches on the table within O'Malley and Piotr Jan that makes the most sense. There's no one else really in this division. If the UFC didn't let Merab clear out the division, there would be more potential matchups to make. But because of the nonsense with letting O'Malley fight Cheeto and instead of Merab fighting him, now you have less contenders on win streaks, which makes it a very tricky situation to have worthy title challenges, right? I mean, he just fought O'Malley. We saw how that went. We saw the fight with Piotr Jan 2 years ago. We know how that went. There's really nobody else. It's almost better if he just lets the division play out and someone could get one or two more wins to see who's the clear-cut guy. But Piotr Jan just beat Song Yadong. Now he beat Figueiredo, who was on a 3-fight win streak. I can see them offering that shot to Piotr Jan. The O'Malley one doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but the UFC likes their golden boy, so I can see them giving him a shot, even though he doesn't really deserve it. Especially he didn't give me a rematch, right? So those are the two fights that make the most sense, unless Umar wants to fight during Ramadan. I mean, I think Bilal did it, so it's not like the craziest thing. I don't know, but then again, I'm not Muslim, so I don't really understand the intricacies of Ramadan to really know if he can properly train. From what I understand, they don't eat during the day, but they can eat at night. So I don't know.
No food
You want
or
to be in this
water.
game, you got to make tough decisions, man. You got to make tough decisions sometimes.
Sure. Aljo, you've been a staple of your division of the UFC for almost 11 years in February. You made your debut in February 2014, if I'm not mistaken. Well, I'm not mistaken. So you've stayed at the top for 11 years. You've been a champion, taking out all these people, cleaned out basically division, and you went on this crazy run that unfortunately ended with O'Malley. During this period, what kept you on the top? What are some of the features of you? Like, I know you're hardworking. I know you have amazing technique, etc. But what are the things that you've done to keep yourself at this level for so many years, 11 years?
I think it's my training partners, man. I think my training partners they deserve a lot of praise, a lot of credit just for um, giving me the looks that I need, showing me the stuff that we need to work on in terms of the drilling. I'm a big believer in drilling. I think that helps a lot. That's how I got to become an All American in college. I went from beating everyone I was supposed to beat, but I couldn't beat the top guys. until I put a lot of emphasis on drilling and really tightening up some things, working with my coaches, going hand in hand, putting in the extra time. And then I came back the next season. I became an All-American, and I took that same philosophy over to MMA. And I think if you could really understand your opponent better than they might even understand themselves, as best as you can, so to speak, I think it gives you a better opportunity at success. And I think my guys have been doing a good job of breaking down tape. I'll take down some things that I see. I'll give it to them, ask them to replicate some of these looks that I need, just so I'm familiar with it. And the fight ends up just being in slow motion. Um, I think the Calvin Kattar one was a perfect example. The Cody Stamen. There's been a lot of fights that I've had in the past, and it really is a testament to just making the fight in slow motion as best as I can by getting the looks that I need in the training room. And I think that's what's really been keeping me on top. And I think the same thing from Rob. We try to give him that same energy and the same looks.
One, there's a huge news in terms of grappling. I know your grappling is very near and dear to your heart, and UFC just signed Mikey Musumeci, and they're going to invest a lot of money in grappling. Do you plan at the end of your career to partake in this and maybe grapple professionally or attain new heights, as we saw Mighty Mouse do in Jiu-Jitsu like recently? Do you have this? Do you see this in future for you at all?
Definitely. I don't see the sky's the limit, man. I would even go and wrestle professionally. Well, not professionally, but on a international level if I could. It's just about the opportunities and the timing. Right now, I have my rum company that I just launched, so that takes a little bit of time to do that because I'm the majority owner. So I actually have my hard-earned money from fighting invested in the company. So I have to make sure that some of the things on the administrative side are getting done the right way and to a standard that I feel is good, So there's some different things that definitely take my attention, but I would love to compete grappling, wrestling, and just see what I could do. It's just all about the challenges. I think when you stay busy, it's fun. It gets the fans excited versus just staying in your comfort zone and just challenging yourself every day.
Throughout your career, we followed you. We've noticed that I personally noticed that you visualize, you plan, you prepare, you drill, as you said. You do all these things in your sports career. Have you carried that towards to the business world? Do you use the same weapons, same methods to attain success in business world? How has the transition been? Not a transition, but something new.
Uh, for the most part, it's a little different because it's not as physical as fighting is in wrestling and jiu-jitsu. Um, but I try to take that mindset. It's just trying to outwork everybody as best as you can, man. Sometimes I'm up on these calls and I get up early to work with these guys over in Amsterdam. Um, and that's just because that's just the work ethic that I always have, even from the very beginning. If it wasn't wrestling, it was with schoolwork. I was a pro athlete while I was in college. And when I was done with college, I was working full time, also fighting full time. So just being able to just have that never quit attitude. And I think that's kind of that New York mentality. Like you just got to always be on the grind. I know some people always ask me, how do you get so many things done in a day? I'm like, I don't know. I just keep going. I think sometimes I'm exhausted. I'm always exhausted. But if you don't do it, who's going to do it for you? You know what I mean? So that's just kind of the mindset that I always have.
That's great. Aljo, you're the man. Everyone, this was Aljamain Sterling for us, for MMA Pro Speak, former king of the Bantamweights, taking on a new challenge on December 8th. December 8th in this part of the world, but December 7th at UFC
Yeah.
310. Aljo, we hope to speak with you in 2025 with 25 victories to your name, to your resume. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.